Oh yeah, welcome everyone to Angular Africa. Uh, it's another beautiful Tuesday, and I am super excited to have you guys here. Um, of course, I'm your host for today, and I'm here with Oyemade as well, is my co-host.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here.
Yeah, that's good. So today we have William Juan who will be taking us on Spring Animation in Angular with Popmotion. Um, First of all, I want to say thank you to William for, accepting the invitation to come do this great presentation with us today. And really, Bonnie also sent her love, and she really hoped she would come join us today, but she hasn't been feeling so well, and of course, I and we are here to represent Bonnie and to give you as much love as we can. So thank you very much for coming. You have the floor.
Thanks for doing.
Thanks for having me. Let me share my screen real quick. Okay. Let me know if you're seeing my screen.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
We're good.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'll be talking to you all about how you can create spring animations in Angular using Popmotion. This is the first time I'm doing this talk, so all of you are the first to see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we dive into the how and all the details, let me show you a few examples for those who aren't familiar with what spring animations are. Okay, let's hope this one plays. So I had problems. Okay, are you seeing the videos?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So this is what it looks like on one of the demos I created. So you can play around with this as well on your end. Let me drop a link to this in the chat. So um,
Okay.
so you can see it on your end too, because the videos are usually choppy when I share it. Um, so that's what it looks like on the web, a very simple spring animation. Um, and then this is another one I did. I know some of you might have seen this before. This is a one I did for NativeScript. And again, this is just it's not supposed to be this janky. It's just, I think the GIF doesn't do it justice. Um, and this is also on GitHub. So if you want to see the actual one that's not uh, choppy like this. But yeah. So what is Popmotion? This is taken directly straight from their website. Popmotion is a low-level animation library. What that means is just it's low-level enough that you can use it with any framework. So it's kind of framework agnostic. You can use it with React, Angular. It's very it's you can use it basically anywhere that uses JavaScript, and it supports keyframes, spring, and inertia animations. We're going to be focusing on Spring just for this presentation because there's a lot to cover for just Popmotion in general. It's a robust library. For those who have heard of Framer Motion in the React world, Popmotion is the tech behind that. So Popmotion is what powers Framer Motion. So we'll go through a live example of building this out, but before that, let's talk about how it works first. So this is a very short snippet of what it takes to just create a pop motion animation. At its core, the animate function of pop motion just has from, to, and on update. The from is the initial value of the animation, and to is the final value. And then on update is a function that gets called every frame the animation fires with the latest computed value. So for this case, on update will get called with latest starting from 0, and then it'll go 0, 1, 2, 3 all the way to 100. The from and to values can be either numbers, strings, and then even box shadows or SVG pad. So anything you can think of, you can put it in from and to, as long as it's something that's that you can step through. So it's like colors, you can go from like black to white, and then it would animate that. It would emit all the values in between. So, it's emitting a value over a period of time is pretty cool, but it's something that you could do easily with set interval as well. So why would you use Popmotion or an external library just for that? So this is where it gets interesting when you use Popmotion. Is it supports a few different types, as I touched on earlier. So it does do inertia, keyframes, and spring. So just for spring, in addition to just be able to create like a default spring animations, it also lets you configure all these additional niceties about your spring animations. So there are just a few, so you'll get some context when I actually do the live demo. Stiffness is what defines the stiffness of the spring. So that's how snappy the animations are. Think of it like a rubber band, like how stiff it is how snappy it is when you release it. And then damping is the opposite end of stiffness. So when the damping increases, the spring becomes bouncier, and then so the animation will last longer. And then there are these 3 additional options that we can configure. So mass is similar to a physical object's mass. It's the heavier object will take longer to speed up and slow down. And then velocity is the initial velocity of the animation itself. So when it first starts, you give it that initial velocity. You can specify that. And then the duration is the duration of the spring. Something to note here with these 5 properties are they override each other. So for example, if you set the stiffness or damping, the duration property will be ignored. So those are covered in detail in their docs. So that's just something to remember. So if like you have stiffness and then you have damping and then you have duration, no matter what you change your duration to, it will always get overridden by the stiffness and damping values. So I ran into that personally a couple times. Just like, oh, I changed the duration and then why doesn't it affect anything? It's because I set some properties that are of higher priority. So yeah, so that's just a brief intro of Popmotion. So let's see the actual demo and build it live together. I'm gonna skip just the npm install part. I did that right before this just to save us time. So if you're wondering what the npm install was, it was just Popmotion and then Stylefire. I'll show you those in a bit. Okay, let me share my screen again.
That's a Popmotion.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, the vibration. I said that's a Popmotion.
Oh. Okay, let me know if you're seeing my screen.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, cool. Let me run this real quick. So what I skipped was just this part. So I added Popmotion. This is just the latest that was there when I did this, and then Stylefire. Stylefire is just a style setter, so it's more performant and easier to set styles dynamically.
Can you increase the size? I mean, the font size.
Yes, yes. Is this better?
Yeah, a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
I
Tito, do
can
you have
make
a
it bigger.
question?
No, I was going to ask him to increase the font.
Oh, great.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
it's okay.
Is, okay. Is this good for everyone?
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
Perfect, perfect.
Okay, cool. Okay, so it's compiling right now. But yeah, this is just the boilerplate stuff you get when you do an ng new. I'm gonna remove all this. And then, okay. Sometimes takes a while for the initial ng serve for some reason on my laptop. Do you have any questions so far as we're waiting for Angular to compile?
Yeah, I do have one. Just off the top of my head. So
Yeah.
in terms of like performance, like are there any drawbacks once you start using it at a very large scale and like everywhere, or is it like what's the performance like?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. I'll touch on that a little bit as we build this out as well. But yeah, you want to be mindful of what you animate as well. Like you don't want to animate like big chunks of your applications. Like you don't want to animate a div with a bunch of children and then resizing it and all those. Those are costly.
Okay.
You also like be mindful of those steps, those rendering steps. So you have like those. You don't want to animate margins, paddings. You want to stick to something that's more like transforms, opacities. Those are I forgot what it's called. Like you have that 4-step rendering process. I think it's more
Okay.
like
Okay.
yeah. You want to stick to the one that costs least. I'll drop a link to a reference I usually use when I build these out.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I think. Okay, so we're good. So you save this, so we'll. Okay, so got a blank app now. Let's add a box first. So we can animate this box however we want it to be. It's just gonna be like a simple green box, nothing fancy. Give it a width, and then height. And since we're doing like, we're gonna transform it, so let's give it some margin so it has room to, expand and shrink. I'll give it some border radius and background color green. We have our pretty green box now. And then let's add a button as well. The animation. And
Can't you add the click event to the box itself? Do you have to put it elsewhere?
oh yeah, you could do that too. Yeah. Yeah, let's do that instead. Let's make sure this fires. Okay, so we're good to build this out then. Okay. First, we want to import the animate from Popmotion. I usually just do this manually because sometimes VS Code thinks animate is coming from somewhere else for some reason. And then styler from stylefire. This is just to set the styles. Let me shrink this. And we'll need a way to get a reference to this. So let's just give it an ID of box. And I think that's all we need from the HTML. And we'll do the view child. Then let's add a check here. Just for, so it doesn't throw errors if we try to animate a non-existing object. And then let's do the animate function. So you can do a very simple one for now, just scale to scale. And then we'll scale it back down. So before we actually do the, I'll show you what this prints. It's an object, yep. So like what I talked about earlier, this function should get called with everything, emitting every value in between the from and the scale. So let's see that. So you see this, it goes from 1.19, 1.195, all the way to 1. So, and I can tweak that, and then this will emit different values. So let me show you, like, if I do just a simple 0 to 1, and that would work the exact same way. It would emit values between 0 and 1. So the only difference here is at which point this these values get emitted, and that's where the spring inertia and keyframes come in play. So let me uncomment that, and we'll use the styler. So let's create that first. And we'll be using element styler dot, and this is just the setter. Then you pass in what you want to set, the property, and then you pass in the value of that property. So here, here it would set whatever the values on here, the latest, to the transform property. So since it's scaled, then it'll apply those as this gets emitted. So that, and then see how that works. So yeah, it just does this right now. It's nothing really fancy. It's just it expands and then it shrinks. So now we can add the spring animation. You just do a type of spring. Oops, spring. Okay. And this would already do spring animations, but I feel like it might be too fast. Okay. So do you see that it bounces at the very end compared to without the spring? So let me take that out again. And this one, you do see it just snaps back in place without that bounce at the end. Let's see if I can slow this down. Let me change the stiffness so I can show you a better representation of this. So let's set the stiffness to 700. So sometimes Popmotion complains about this if you don't give it the type. So this is what you usually do, and you just pass in the string. This is what the from and to values are. So yeah, do you see that? Now you have that springiness to it, just with that additional of that stiffness. And then you can change this to like a 100, and then you'll see it change drastically. You see that it no longer has that bounce at the end. It does bounce a little bit. And then if you bring it all the way up, and then it'll do some, it'll be more springy. And we can play around with this as well. We can switch this to damping, and then I think the default of damping is 10, so we can increase that to 100, and then I'll decrease it down to like 1, so it becomes very, very slow, because this is the opposite of stiffness. So the higher it is, the slower it is. And then if you set it to 1, it'll be a lot quicker. Yeah. So now it looks like Jello, but yeah. So you can experiment with stiffness, damping, and then all those other options as well. So let me put this back as stiffness. And then I'll show you something that the performance thing that Oye brought up. So everything looks okay with this, since it's just like one box in a blank page. So however, if I do add an ngdo check here, then I just do a console log of ngdo check. Do you have any guesses on what happens? How many times this is going to get printed out?
Once.
No, many times.
Yeah. Let's see that. So you see this?
Yep.
It's called 96 times. Yeah. So change detection gets called every time on update gets called, which is unnecessary, because we're setting it We're setting it from here directly, so we don't really need Angular's change detection to run. So and luckily there's a really quick fix for this. So
change the detection. Change detection to on push or something.
Yeah, let's try that. I actually haven't tried that one before, but that might address it as well. Let's see. Okay, so it still does that. Any other?
Aditya said something. Aditya said, Aditya, do you want to say something?
Probably run outside of Angular, maybe.
Oh yes, yeah. Who said that?
Aditya.
Okay, yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah. So you import the ng zone. I feel like the on push also helps, but in a different kind of setup. I think the on push will also help significantly. I think it's just because of how this is set up. I think if you have on push inside of the component here instead of just being an empty box, that's going to help significantly reduce the number of change detection cycles for the children. So with this, and then you can run it here, run outside. And then you should see this significantly decrease to get called twice, and then gets called only once. So you don't run into that change detection issue anymore. Yeah, let's so you see this first, it jumps because we start at 1.2 and not 1. but you still want that springiness at the end. So a workaround for that is you can actually chain this. Let me show you how that. This is a trick I also use whenever I want to get that springiness at the end, but I don't want it to jump in the beginning. So you always want to start with the original, whatever the dimensions or the positions are, and then you do a 2 to the whatever you want, wherever you want the spring animations to start. So this one here would make it stretch, and then it'll start bouncing back as it goes back down. Let me show you that. So this is exactly the same, and then it also has an incomplete. And here you just move the entire thing inside. That way you don't have that jump at the beginning. So you see that it stretches more. It stretches smoothly instead of the one without it. So this one you actually stretch it and then it bounces back. And you can chain this a number of different ways. You can make it. You can do a transforms of translates or opacities and all that. Those fun stuff. Let me show you with this with again. So this is after you stretch it first and then doing the spring. And then this is what it looks like without. You can see the actual differences. So you see how it just snaps. Yeah, and you can apply this trick to basically all the different kinds of animations that Popmotion offers. And you can chain as many as you want as well. Yep.
Is there another easier way to, if you have too many, how will you do it? Like maybe some kind of method that you can put this in a method or something and just call it?
Yeah, you could always wrap this as in a method, and you could return promises as well. So let's say do the animate spring. If you do want to chain it like how you would in web animation APIs, like using promises, you could always do something like this. The right syntax. Okay. Yeah, and then I don't have the element styler, but yep. And then here you would just do the resolve, and then you could chain it that way as well. So how you would call this is, let's say, I wanna animate. Oops, this is right. Okay. Do like, and you would be able to do something like this as well. So this would allow more flexible chaining, I believe. So this would be like you would be able to mix in any kind of promise-based animation this way as well. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah. Any other questions?
So can we have multiple transformations inside the from and to blocks? For example, scale and do something else at the same time?
Yes. You should be able to do that. Let me bring this back in. Let's actually do like a scale and transform and translate. I think this might be the right one, the right syntax. Okay, yeah. So we could actually do something like this as well. So let me this. You can actually make stuff fall down. Like, I think this might be the right combination. This might be it. Okay, so the spring part might not actually work well together here. Let me remove this. Yeah, let's stick to one first. So remove this and this. Oh, no. Yeah, the spring part might not work with the multiple transformations at once, but you can actually do a different kind of this as well. So I feel like I might be messing up some kind of syntax here, but yeah, there should be a. Oh, is that the wrong syntax I was doing? Was it like something more like this?
Yeah, I see the translate X, translate Y, but if you're
Oh,
doing
okay. Let's try that. That's in the pixels as well.
yeah,
Okay, cool. So let's see if we do add the spring in and see if it still works. Okay, yeah. Cool. Thanks, whoever sent that. Let's
Rob.
cool, thanks, Robert. And so we might be able to do this then. It could be just me messing up the first time. Okay. It does look weird, but it sort of works. And it doesn't have to just be this directly getting set to the transform. So you could basically do even just numbers here. So if you do 0, you do 1. So this is going to complain because this is no longer matching this. You could actually do it here as well. So you could do multiple element stylers here. Let's say I want to do opacity. So opacity just goes from 0 to 1. And then here you could actually do something like this as well. So you could actually combine those here. So it just, you just use the values between 0 and 1 and then you put it together here. So I could do a translate. Let's do a scale. And then since scales also go from 0 to 1, so you could do the latest and then you're able to combine those and then do any additional calculations here as well. Yeah, well, that's not pretty, but you know, it. And you can even do multiplications of this as well. Like if you want to do, you want to times 2 or do whatever transformations, additional transformations here, you could do that just based on what you're doing here.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all I have prepared for today. I was gonna leave. Yes, that Robert.
Yeah. Is there a way to put like not only from and to, but maybe percentages? Is there a way to animate that as well? Or no, or only goes
Yes.
from.
Yes. To answer your question, yes and no. So for spring, you can only do from and to. But if you're actually doing the keyframes one, you could actually specify keyframes as you would in CSS. Percentages. Yeah. And then inertia works a different way again. So yeah. Do you have any other questions? Or anything you want me to try out here while I have these open?
Like let's say if we want a sequence, right? So we should be able to chain that like you showed before, maybe like after one action then do another animate, so that that'll be chained, right?
Yes, yeah. I can. Let's do that one. So let's do like the box actually moving and then scaling up and down, something like that.
Yeah, sure.
Let's copy this part. Oh yes, let me pull that up real quick and then drop the link. So I dropped the link to the official docs on the chats. And then let's do. I'm gonna move this to make it global. And do a translate here. Oh, what's the syntax here again? Let's translate X.
X, yeah.
And then okay. Then you pass in the pixels, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Transform, and then latest. And this one, let's do it this way. But it doesn't. Okay, and then we want to call this one instead. So it should. Okay, yeah, because I did the spring first, then the translate. Reverse that. And then this one will make it translate first and then grow. Oh, and the snapping back is because it didn't preserve the translate. So if we do want to do that, we'll have to actually set the value here as well. Oops, that didn't do it. Oh, and I probably need to. So here, this was the problem, I think. Yeah. So since this one replaces the whole transform, since it doesn't see the translate x, it automatically assumes it's a 0 and then it moves it back. So yeah. Yep. So that's chaining it to 2 times.
Okay. Cool. Cool.
Yep. And I can share a demo I created with this as well. So you would have reference to it. Let me pull that up. Oh, I think I might have shared it earlier as well. Okay. Yeah. So I think that brings us to the end of what I have prepared so far. Is there any questions or anything you want me to try here?
Thank you very much, William. That was a great presentation indeed. So, guys, if you have questions for William, and I think one of the things that we were talking about in the group chat while we were presenting is implementing animation in like enterprise in an enterprise application, and there you need to think about performance. You need to think about because you will be writing a lot of code in an enterprise application, then you need to be doing a lot of animation and enterprise application. Where do you draw the line? What's the best practice?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Let me stop presenting so I can see all of you. Okay. Yeah, so I guess there's a fine line between animations being like useful to being just, a distraction. So I feel like the animations you add should actually add value to it. So like if it's just for the sake of making something pretty, it's nice to have, but there are some animations that actually it actually helps in terms of usability. So like say you open a drawer from somewhere, it kind of makes sense to like give it context. So like if a card opens, like if you click on a card and then the card expands to show the details, like that kind of animation actually helps the user understand that association between the card and the details, right? So those kind of animations, I feel like those are essential to have. Like those aren't nice to have. Those are important to the actual usability of the product itself. But if it's just bouncing boxes like you just saw just now, like that might not be really useful for enterprise, like unless you have a really specific use case for that, like opening modals maybe, or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's okay. That's cool. So Aditya, hope you heard that as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, so just quick question. So can this kind of animations be applied on like routes and stuff like that, like the router outlets and stuff like that? Do they work?
Oh, that's an actually really interesting question. I've done route animations before using Angular animations, but I've never actually tried it using this. So yeah, to tell you the truth, I don't know because I've never tried it before.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but yeah, it might be an interesting experiment to actually try to get it to work.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's good. Any more questions? Oh, good, Aditya.
So this is regarding another library that popped up recently, and since you are the animation guy, have you tried this before? Motion.dev.
I don't think I've tried that before. This might be the first time I've. Let me copy this so I don't lose this for personal reference. But yeah, I'll have to try that out. I don't think I've. Yeah. Oh, I've actually seen this website before, but I've never actually tried it yet. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. This
No
is. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I've heard of this. This was, I think I've seen this on Twitter a couple times. It's supposed to be Web Animations API, but better syntax, I think. But yeah, I'll have to give this a shot. But yeah, I'll probably post some updates about this. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Aditya.
Great, great. Looking forward to it.
Okay, guys. Are there more questions for William? We have like 8 minutes. So I think, oh yeah, if you have any good news to share, you can hit us up.
Yeah, sure thing. Thank you again, William, for this presentation. Absolutely amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So thanks to everyone who was able to make it. I hope you had a great time. I hope you were able to learn anything or two. So I'll just briefly go through like some of the upcoming events we have here on Angular Nation and Angular Africa. Okay, so our next event here on Angular Nation is on November 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. And we are going to have what's in your toolbox. This is a type of session we already had previously where developers just come and share what they have in your Angular toolbox, your development extensions, workflows, and stuff like that that help you to speed up your development. And then we just brainstorm together and share what we have. So it's a really interesting time, and I would love for everyone to attend so that we can have a lot of fun. So up next in Angular Nation, and by the way, that's on November the 2nd. So same time, same place, November the 2nd. So we'd love to see you there. So next on Angular Nation tomorrow, we have an Angular in the APAC channel, 2 p.m. Western African time, by the way. We have teaching NG Deep with Ankita. I've also attended one of our talks on this topic, and I think it's something that everyone should be able to attend because it's really interesting. And then on Thursday, we have Miko Getchev coming on Angular Nation, talking about scalable micro frontends. So basically, we are just going to talk about micro frontends with Miko and the Angular team just to be able to get insights and know what we to move forward. And on Friday, we have our Friday social, as usual. And then we also have an event by the Angular Americas team called Angular Americas Infrastructure as TypeScript with Jeff Welpley. So if you can attend that, that's also going to be another interesting event. One more event I think that was also interesting to everyone is Asking a Testing Expert with Shai Resnick and the Cypress team, and I think Sanda also. But that's next week on October the 28th. So for anyone who's willing to attend, I think that's a great opportunity for you to come and let out your testing questions. And I for sure know I have some that I am really waiting to ask. So yeah, that's it. Over to you, Val. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Oh yeah, thanks for that. So guys, we hope to see you in our next meetup. But before we go, I'd like us to take a photo. So if you don't mind, you can put on your camera. Are we good? Yeah, Aditya, we love to see your face. Oh, good. Here comes Agent Rob. Okay, guys, say cheese. Oh, no cheese yet, please. Let's save it for lunch. Okay, so cheese. Yeah, got that. So thank you very much, Williams. We
Thanks,
really have
William.
time. Thank you.
Yeah.
God bless. So guys, enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye bye, guys.
All
Bye.
right. Thank you. Thank you, William.
Bye.
Juan, Will.
Yep.